In December 1937, Lieutenant Commander Edwin T. Layton, an American naval attaché intelligence officer, is warned during a state function by Admiral Isoro Oku Yamamoto that, because 80% of Japan's oil is imported, if the U.S. were to threaten their oil supply, then the Japanese would have no choice but to wage war. On December 7, 1941, during World War II, following the U.S.'s decision to cut off Japan's oil supply, the Japanese launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, forcing the U.S. to enter the war. In response, naval aviator Lieutenant Richard Dick Best and the air group of the carrier USS Enterprise failed to find the Japanese carrier fleet. Admiral Yamamoto, with the support of Rear Admiral Tamon Yamaguchi, proposes an audacious plan to invade Midway Island using the 4 available Japanese carriers known as the Kido Butai. But the Japanese army overrules them. In February, the USS Enterprise launches raids against the Marshall Islands. In April, after Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle's raid on Tokyo, Yamamoto, Yamaguchi, and Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo are permitted to carry out their plan to attack Midway. In May, following the Battle of the Coral Sea, Layton, along with Joseph Rockford and his cryptography team, used signals intelligence to intercept Japanese messages about an operation against an objective identified only as AF. Layton and his team believe that AF is Midway Atoll, while Washington believes it to be a target in the South Pacific. Still, the newly appointed Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, remains skeptical. To prove their theory, Layton instructs Midway to send in an encrypted message stating they are suffering from a water shortage. The Japanese pick up this signal and send an intercepted message about water shortages on AF, confirming that AF is indeed Midway, hoping to mount his surprise attack. Nimitz orders the aircraft carriers USS Hornet and Enterprise II be recalled from the Coral Sea and demands that the damaged USS Yorktown be repaired in 72 hours for combat operations. Halsey is placed on shore leave due to shingles and is temporarily replaced by Admiral Raymond A. Spruance. On June 4th, the Japanese launch an air attack on Midway. Initial attempts by U.S. land-based aircraft to strike the Japanese fleet carriers fail. However, Nagumo is shaken when a crashing American bomber narrowly misses the bridge of the Japanese aircraft carrier Akagi in what may have been a ramming attempt. The submarine USS Nautilus tries to attack the Japanese fleet but is chased off by the Japanese destroyer Arashi. American squadrons attack the Japanese fleet without much luck, though the attacks prevent the fleet from launching their counterstrike. Upon spotting the Arashi from the air, Wade McCleskey correctly infers the Japanese destroyer is rushing back to the main Japanese fleet and leads his planes to follow its course, arriving to find the Japanese combat air patrol at low level due to the previous attacks. The dive bombers score several hits on the Japanese aircraft carriers Akagi, Kage, and Tsuryu, resulting in fires and further explosions, crippling all 3. The shell-shocked Nagumo is persuaded to transfer his flag. Yamaguchi, aboard the sole remaining intact carrier, Hiryu, launches a strike that succeeds in crippling Yorktown, prompting Enterprise and Hornet to launch their remaining aircraft in response. Best leads the squadron, which successfully inflicts heavy damage to the Hiryu. Admiral Yamaguchi chooses to go down with his command along with Captain Kaku as Hiryu is scuttled. Yamamoto orders a general withdrawal. At Pearl Harbor, Rockford intercepts the Japanese order to withdraw and passes it to Layton, who then informs Nimitz. Best is discharged from the Navy for his lung problems incurred due to the use of faulty breathing apparatus during the attack, and decides to return home to his wife and daughter.